somewhere beyond the golden dusk. Her reflection on the glass looked for real. A stranger in white satin and diamonds, the faint hum of laughter and music still echoed in her ears from earlier that week, when her world had shattered. Arnold and Diana, her crush and her best friend, she could still see them standing together hand in hand, glowing with happiness as they announced their engagement. Her lips had curled into a weak smile that did reach her eyes. She remembered standing frozen in that crowd, every word around her turning into static. Her chest had felt like shattering glass, sharp, cold, painful, and then through the blur of faces her gaze had collided with another's. Taeyong, her sworn enemy. He stood across the hall, a champagne glass in hand, his usual smoke smirk curved on his lips. But behind that arrogance, his eyes dark and unreadable seemed to pierce through her. She quickly looked away, her throat tightening, and walked out before her facade could crumble. The next morning, her parents had told her about the marriage proposal. Kim Tae wanted to marry her. She had laughed at first, a humorless bitter sound. But then something clicked in her mind, and perhaps something reckless in herself that wanted to end all the pain. She agreed, and now here she was in his bedroom, in a wedding gown that suddenly felt heavier than any chain. The faint click of the door snapped her out of her thoughts. Wine turned, and there he was, Tae leaned casually against the door frame, arms crossed, that same infuriating smirk tugging at his lips. The dim light of the room made the sharp lines of his face even more pronounced, unfairly handsome, unfairly confident. Lost already, Mrs. Kim, he drawled, voice rich with mockery. Wine rolled her eyes, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. Don't call me that, she said flatly, turning away. He clicked his tongue. You married me, didn't you? Might as well get used to the name. Her head snapped toward him, eyes flashing. You talk too much for someone who forced his way into a marriage. He chuckled, low and taunting. You say that like you weren't dying to say yes. She glared, stepping closer, her tooth sharp as glass. I said yes because I was done. I had my own reasons. He tilted his head, taking slow steps toward her. Or maybe because he thought marrying me would make Arnold jealous. Her chest tightened, and before she could respond, he stood right in front of her, too close. His breath brushing her cheek. She scowled. Every time you open your mouth, only venom comes out. He loosened his tie with one hand, leaning down so their eyes met. Don't think this marriage gives you rights over me, he said sharply, voice suddenly colder. I just don't trust you out of my sight. Her lips twisted into a bitter smile. You're not worth my trust either. She muttered, then frowned slightly. But why do you even want me in your sight? He exhaled slowly, his gaze flicking over her face. The curve of her jaw, the hurt streaming behind her defiance. Because, he said quietly, you liked Arnold, and now you want to break them apart. I'll restrain you at any cost. Wine froze, disbelief flashing across her features. Then she shook her head, eyes wide. So that's it. You want to protect Diana's engagement because she's your love. Her voice trembled with anger. You ruined my life for her, his jaw clenched. He grabbed her arm and yanked her close, their faces inches apart. You are the one who wanted to ruin Diana and Arnold's relationship, he gritted out. Don't play innocent now. Her heart pounded violently. She pushed at his chest with trembling hands. I said it out of anger, damn it, I didn't mean it. He released her arm slowly, his expression unreadable. Doesn't matter, he said, tone dropping low. You're in my grasp now and I won't let you go. And that did it, fury surged inside her. She showed him heart, voice sharp and shaking. Fine, thanks to you, I can be closer to Arnold now. The moment those words left her lips, she regretted them. Her stomach twisted with disgust at herself, but it was too late. His eyes darkened instantly. He stepped closer, his expression dangerous yet strangely calm. He grabbed her jaw, not harshly but firm enough to silence her. You're my wife now, he whispered against her lips, his voice low and steady. Try showing some respect for that. Their eyes locked, hers fiery, his smoldering. The air between them thickened, the space charged with something neither hate nor love could define. Her heart raced so fast she could barely breathe. One was the first to look away. He straightened, patting her cheek lightly, almost mockingly. Go change, wifey. I don't need any more drama tonight. Her mouth fell open to retort, but he raised a hand. Not now. I'm exhausted. Grinding her teeth, she glared at him before marching to the washroom, slamming the door hard enough to make the frame rattle. He lay on the bed flat, staring at the ceiling for a few moments, and then he raised his hand, staring at his ring finger. When she returned minutes later, dressed in an oversized t-shirt and hanger, Tae was sprawled across the bed, eyes closed, blanket pulled to his chin. She stood there for a moment, seething. Move, she snapped, tugging at his blanket. He groaned, snatching it back lazily. Even if I don't move, the bed is big enough. Don't disturb me. She smacked his back. I'm not sleeping with you, you idiot. He only hung, pretending to ignore her. That only made her shake him harder. In one swift move, Tae's hand shot out, gripping her wrist and yanking her forward. She landed right on top of him, with a startled gasp, her palms flat against his chest. Don't you get what I said? He muttered, voice off with irritation and something else, something unspoken. She froze. His breath brushed her face, warm and maddeningly close, her heart hammered against her ribs, her cheeks flushing crimson. I hate you, she whispered, glaring down at him. Jerk, idiot, heartless. Sam smirked faintly, watching the red on her face. Noted, Mrs. Kim. She pushed off him and marched toward the couch, coiling up on it, her back turned to him. For a while, silence filled the room, thick, restless silence. Tim turned his head slightly, eyes lingering on her small, tense figure under the dim light, his jaw tightened, a hint of guilt flickering in his chest. He sighed softly, good night, Wine. He murmured under his breath, knowing she wouldn't answer, but she did, barely audible. Go to hell. Tim smiled faintly in the dark. Already there, sweetheart, he just moved in. Next morning, Wine woke to the faint light of dawn, filtering through the curtains. Her eyes blinked open slowly, still foggy from sleep, and she stared blankly at the ceiling. The world felt quiet, almost too quiet. She stretched lazily, letting out a soft, satisfied groan. But then her body froze. Something felt wrong. Her leg felt heavy, warm. Her waist was pinned down by something firm. Heart thundering, she tilted her head and nearly screamed. 𝐘𝐴, sleeping right beside her. His arm was draped around her waist, his face calm and maddeningly handsome in the soft light. One of her legs, oh God, was thrown across his thigh. Her entire body went still, blood rushing to her ears. What the she had, pushing him away with both hands. Sam groaned, staring awake as she shot up like she had seen a ghost. He rubbed his eyes lazily, his deep morning voice gravely. What's your problem, woman? My problem, she shrieked, clutching the blanket to her chest. Why am I on your bed? He blinked, still half asleep, and then straightened, running a hand through his messy hair, composing himself. You woke while sleeping. You climbed in here yourself. Her jaw dropped. Liar, I do not sleepwalk. He raised a brow, face completely serious. Then what are you saying, that I carried you here? Wine's face burned crimson at the thought. She cleared her throat, awkwardly looking away. He lied so well that it made her doubt. You probably dragged me here out of pity or boredom. Sam snorted, rolling his eyes. You're delusional. I'm sane. She shot back. Debatable. He muttered under his breath. Wine narrowed her eyes at him, face curling at her sides. I'm going to freshen up. I'll go first. Sam said at the same time. They both froze and then glared. I said it first. They chorused again. And before either could back down, both of them ran toward the washroom. Move, one shouted, grabbing the doorknob. I was here first, Sam countered, yanking it toward himself. They wrestled with it like children until the door suddenly flung open, sending them both stumbling inside together. You're impossible. One snapped, rushing past him toward the sink. Likewise, he muttered, standing beside her and picking up his toothbrush. Wine glared at their reflection. Why are you even brushing here? There's a whole house. Last I checked, this is my room. Sam said, smoothly squeezing toothpaste onto his brush. Wine grabbed her own brush, squeezing out toothpaste furiously. You're wasting it. Oh please, you squeeze from the middle, it's like rhyme. He mocked, smirking at her reflection. They brushed their teeth side by side, both glaring daggers at each other in the mirror like rivals preparing for war. Foam and frustration filled the air. When they were done, Wine began her skincare routine, gently patting her cheeks with toner. Sam meanwhile applied shaving gel, whistling casually. Do you really need that many products? He teased, watching her apply moisturizer. She gave him a sweet smile. Do you really need to exist? He choked on his laugh. Touch. She stuck out her tongue before turning back to her mirror. He smiled, but it vanished when she accidentally splashed a bit of water on his shirt. Wine. Oops, she said innocently and then grinned. Then gritted his teeth, scooping up some shaving foam and swiping it across her chin. Damn, she gasped, horrified as white foam dripped down her jaw. Well, now you can shave too, he said with fake sweetness. That was the last drop. She threw more water on him. He dodged, laughing, and the bathroom filled with the echoes of their playful chaos, water droplets flying, childish stones bouncing off the walls. You're such a jerk. And you're clumsy, he spat back. You're insufferable. She gritted out. And you're loud. He shot back. Your face is annoying. That's not what you thought last night when you cuddled me in your sleep. He fired back smugly, her face turned beetroot. Shut up. But then their argument shifted. The laughter faded when she muttered bitterly, have some manners. You can't talk to girls like this. Be a gentleman like Arnold. His expressions darkened instantly. Don't. Mine frowned, confused. What? He slammed his razor down on the counter. Don't mention his name like that. You're jealous. She moved, crossing her arms. Because of Diana. He clenched his jaw, his eyes sharp. Because you talk like a fool. His snapped voice cold, and just like that he stormed out, leaving her standing there, toothbrush still in hand, heart pounding. She stared at the door, biting her lip. Why did he sound so angry? Was it really about Diana? He couldn't possibly be jealous of her, right? Wine sighed and finished washing her face quietly. When she came out, the room was empty. She frowned, smoothing her hair before heading toward the living room. There, Sam's younger sister Helen sat cross-legged on the couch, smiling brightly the moment she saw Wine. Good morning, sister-in-law. Helen chirped, patting the seat beside her. Wine smiled shyly and sat down. Good morning. Helen's eyes twinkled. Breakfast will be ready soon. Oh, and guess what? Arnold and Diana are joining us too. Wine smiled, faltered for a second, but then nodded politely. That's nice. Helen, being the chatterbox she was, kept talking. Within minutes, Wine found herself laughing quietly at her antics. So, Helen began mischievously. How did you end up marrying my brother? Were you charmed by his handsome face? Wine laughed, covering her mouth. Definitely not. Behind her, Sam entered silently, freezing when he heard Helen's question. He motioned for her to be quiet, but Helen just smiled. Wine leaned closer. Promise you won't tell anyone. Helen nodded eagerly. Well, Wine said softly. My brother's fiancée was trying to make him marry me to her alcoholic brother. I read their messages. I was so done with everything that I would have married anyone to escape that mess. Helen blinked and nodded slowly, her teasing smile fading. Behind them, Sam clenched his jaw tightly, his knuckles whitening at his sides. Silence lingered for a moment until Helen spoke again, gently. Then why did you like Arnold? One smiled faintly, eyes distant. He used to care for me, always gave me his umbrella during rain. Drove me home when I missed the bus, brought up soup when I was sick. Sam's voice cut through the air like a knife. Recall that care. Both women turned toward him. His expression was tight, voice clipped, but shaking slightly with emotion. That's the bare minimum, Wine. Stop glorifying scraps of attention. His words stung painfully so. Wine went silent, realizing he was right. Maybe she had mistaken simple kindness of love. Sam's jaw flexed. He turned to Helen. Where are Mom and Dad? Helen's cheerful face fell. Bones in her room, Dad's in the study. Sam's eyes darkened. Did they fight again last night? Helen hesitated, then nodded. He muttered under his breath, voice slowing bitter. Even now they can't stop. They'll never care about us. With that, he turned and walked away, shoulders tense, frustration radiating off him. Helen bit her lip, twisting her fingers. Man scooted closer and held her hand. Don't worry, they'll be good. Helen looked at her with teary eyes and shook her head, saying, they have been like this since forever. They made him this way, Wine. Angry, impatient, but deep down he's not bad. Wine pulled her into her embrace and comforted her while they could hear Tim and Mr. Kim's argument. Helen trembled at the raised voice, while Wine clenched her jaw, blinking back her tears. Her own family was no different. Moments later, the shouting ceased. Arnold and Diana arrived for breakfast. The tension at the table was thick. Mr. and Mrs. Kim silent, Tim expressionless. Wine quietly ate, picking the onions out of her omelette and dropping them onto Tim's plate. He noticed, immediately frowning. What are you doing? He muttered. I hate onions, she said simply. They need something else, he snapped. I don't like vegetables. You eat these. She mumbled. He glared at his plate, now half covered with onions. Then at her. His frown deepened. He reached out and grabbed her plate, filling it with vegetables and eggs. You eat like a bird, he said sternly. You'll get sick. Wine blinked, startled. What's it to you? Open your mouth, he ordered, holding out a spoon. What? Tim, she whispered, mortified. Come on, he said. Don't tease him now. Or do you want me to feed you in front of everyone in a more intimate way? Arnold chuckled softly. Diana and Helen giggled. See, he's a good husband already. Helen teased. Wine glared at them before reluctantly opening her mouth, cheeks flushed red. He smiled, feeding her gently. There, he said smoothly. Was that so hard? Wine muttered. You are insufferable. He leaned closer, whispering. You say that, but your face is red, sweetheart. She froze, glaring at him, but her lips twitched, fighting a smile. For the first time since the wedding, the air felt lighter, chaotic, warm. Time skip. Mornings in the Kim mansion had turned into an amazing kind of battlefield. It was either Wine arguing about toothpaste or Tim grumbling about her, taking his charger again. Wine, that's my towel. Oh really? Then write your name on it, Mr. Kim. She snapped, brushing past him, eyes glinting with mischief. Tim clenched his jaw, counting silently under his breath. 1, 2, 3. But Wine wasn't done. Oh, and by the way, I used your coffee pod. He turned sharply, eyes widening. You what? She smiled sweetly. Oops, every day was like this. Tears wrapped in bickering. But beneath the sharp words, something unspoken lingered. Wine would fall asleep on the couch each night, and yet every morning she would wake up under the warm comforter, tucked neatly into her bed. She never asked how, and Tim never admitted why, but she knew, and secretly she loved it. Every morning before leaving for work, he would mutter without meeting her eyes, eat your breakfast. Sometimes she would ignore him just to see his reaction. That's when, like clockwork, she would find her favorite snack quietly placed on the table later, his excuse ready before she could tease him. Don't fit? I don't want to deal with that mess. His tone was cold, but his fingers would always linger on the edge of the snack packet like he wanted to say more. Lately, Wine had also noticed how Mr. and Mrs. Kim fought. Sometimes their yells were so loud she would pause in the hallway, pressing her palms to her ears. Tim would freeze too, shoulders tense, his usual calm eyes darkening with frustration. That made her heart ache. He would always try to pretend it didn't bother him, but the anger in his silence spoke volumes. So she began to subtly interfere. A few gentle words here, a bit of humor there. And surprisingly, it worked. Today the mansion was filled with laughter instead of shouting. No mistaken chuckle at something Wine said. Mrs. Kim smiled softly, and for once peace lived in that house. Wine's heart warmed seeing them like that. Her little tricks worked. Then the door opened and Tim walked in. His tall frame filled the doorway. Tie loosened, shirt slightly wrinkled. His eyes swept the living room, his parents smiling. Wine laughing softly beside them, and he frowned. Wow. He muttered dryly, throwing his jacket on the couch. Since when did this place turn into a therapy center? Mr. Kim glared at him. But before he could continue, Wine lifted her chin and said, Since your wife decided to do something your temper couldn't. Tim's brows arched. My temper. He stepped closer, smirked, tugging at his lips. At least I have one. You just ex-house people into agreeing with you. Wine crossed her arms. At least I get results. He smiled at her attitude. Helen suddenly giggled. Wow, my grumpy brother is smiling for his wife. Both of them turned red instantly. I'm not smiling, came back in. Exactly, Helen. You're imagining things. Wine chimed in at the same time. Then Wine smiled and added under her breath, although you do look less terrifying when you smile. He clenched his fist, narrowing his eyes. Careful, Mrs. Kim, you're testing your limits. Or maybe I'm testing your patience. She whispered back. Mrs. Kim chuckled, shaking her head. You two will drive each other insane. Tim huffed and stormed toward his room, ignoring everyone. Mr. Kim sighed deeply, watching his son retreating back. What has he become? He muttered. Mrs. Kim's voice softened. He's just learning to feel again. The peaceful atmosphere shattered a moment later. The door slammed open and the security guard's voice echoed from outside. Sir, stop, you can't just... Everyone turned as Evan Wine's brother stormed in, his face red with fury. Evan Wine whispered, standing up. He ignored her tone and strode toward her. You ruined my life, he yelled, voice trembling with rage. What are you talking about? My fiancé broke off the engagement because of you, he spat. Why didn't you marry her brother? Wine's fist clenched at her sides. Your fiancé was never serious about you, Evan. You knew. Shut up, he barked. Because of you, my reputation is destroyed. But you can fix this. He grabbed her wrist harshly. You'll marry her brother. Then everything will be fine. Again. Her breath caught. Let me go, Evan. Mr. Kim stood up angrily. Enough, leave my house right now. But Evan didn't listen. His voice grew louder, sharper, crueler. Even your husband must regret marrying you. Who would want a woman like you? Before he could finish, Tim's voice cut through the room like thunder. Let her go. Wine turned. He stood there, jaw-tied, eyes like ice, the air around him suffocatingly still. Evan scoffed. Oh, the husband finally decided to show. He didn't finish. In one swift move, Tim grabbed Evan's collar, pulling him close until their noses almost touched. I said, he hissed. Let my wife go. Evan tried to show him back. You're crazy. That was it, Ken snapped. He punched Ivan once, twice. Fury blazing in every moment. Don't you ever speak about my wife like that again, he shouted, voice raw with emotion. Ivan froze, tears spilling down her cheeks as she watched. The man who claimed to hate her was defending her like his life depended on it. Helen gasped, pushing to one side, helping her sit down. Only it's okay, he's fine, thanks just. But Ivan couldn't tear her eyes away. Her heart fluttered painfully as she saw the fire in Thames' gaze, not of hate but of protection. Mr. King finally intervened, yelling for the guards. Ivan stumbled back, humiliated and crazed, before storming out of the house. Helen paced the living room, hands trembling with anger. Helen gently led Ivan up. Mr. King motioned to Mrs. Kim and she placed a hand on his arm. Claim enough, she's shaken, go to her. In the room, Ivan sat silently on the bed, her fingers resting nervously in her lap. Moments later, King entered his uncle's bed, breathing heavy. He didn't say a word, just sat beside her, the bed dipping under his weight. Come eat something, he muttered finally. Your idiot brother isn't worth losing your strength over. I'm not hungry, she whispered. Wine. I said I'll eat when I feel like it. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Silence stretched between them until Wine's voice broke it softly. You didn't have to do that. His jaw clenched and suddenly he grabbed her wrist, making her look at him. I should have done more. Her eyes widened. That man insulted my wife, he said, lowly, voice trembling with controlled rage. He touched you. He tried to take you from me. Listen, Wine. He leaned closer, his voice a whisper but fierce as fire. You are mine until death. Your grave will be beside mine, with my name. Her heart skipped a beat. His voice burned into her soul, terrifying her and tender all at once. He could have hurt you, she whispered. He held her hand and pressed it against his cheek, whispering back, but I'm fine. He couldn't even touch me. She lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes, then sighed softly, his anger fading. No one gets to hurt you, he said again, quieter this time. Not even your family. Then he reached out, cupping her cheek with a rough but gentle hand, his thumb brushing against her tear-stained skin. Don't cry for worthless people, he murmured. Their words mean nothing. She nodded weakly, holding her breath. After a long silence, she whispered, thank you. He looked at her, muttering, no worries. Did you eat? She asked quietly and laid on the bed. He smiled faintly. No, tell me when you do. I'll eat then. She blinked. Why didn't you? I had some snacks at the office. He lied smoothly. She nodded, closing her eyes. But as the silence settled, her brother's cruel words replayed in her head. Silent tears slipped down her face. Theo noticed his chest tightened. Without a word, he leaned closer and wiped her tears with his thumb. When she kept crying, he couldn't stop himself. He pulled her against his chest. Hey, he murmured, it's okay. She clutched his chest, trembling as sobs shook her, and stroked her hair, was barely above a whisper. Let it out, I'm here. Minutes passed, her sobs turned into sniffles. To lighten the air, he teased softly. You know you ruined my shirt. Are you planning to pay for dry cleaning? She sniffed, glaring weakly. Shut up, Theo. Oh, so now you can talk back. Don't make me angry again, she murmured, his voice muffled against his chest. He chuckled quietly, his fingers still threading through her hair. You look cute when you're angry. Stop it, she glared. Or what? Or I'll sleep on the couch again, he smiled. Then I'll just move your hair again. Her head shot up iceward. So it was you, he shrugged. Prove it. She sighed and leaned back into his chest anyway. The warmth in his arms felt too comforting to leave. After a few minutes, her breathing slowed. She had fallen asleep. He looked down at her face, soft under the moonlight, and something in his chest shifted painfully. He bent down, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. His fingers brushed her hair back as he whispered, no one touches you, no one hurts you, not while I'm breathing. Then he closed his eyes, pulling her closer, and for the first time in a long while, and slept with a peaceful smile. Few days later, the faint morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft golden rays across the room. Wine stirred in her sleep, warmth enveloping her, not the usual calm she stubbornly keeps every night, but something firm and steady, warm like sunlight and steady like heartbeat. Her lashes fluttered open and the realization hit her like lightning. Her face was tucked into Thames' chest, her fingers loosely curled around his shirt. His arm was around her waist, holding her possessively close, his breath brushing her forehead. She froze. Oh no. Thames still too mumbling, croakily. His deep voice still thick from sleep. Stop moving 5 more minutes. Wine's heart stuttered. What are you doing? He groaned and peeked, one eye open. His lips twitched into a sleepy smile. Good morning, Mrs. Kim. Slept wearing your husband's arms. She gasped, shoving his arm off. I did not sleep here willingly. Oh really? He stretched lazily, voice laced with amusement. Then how did you end up on my bed? Magic? Her cheeks flamed. You must have dragged me here again. He turned on his side, head propped on his elbow, grinning. Dragged? You were hugging my pillow before I even touched you. I just exchanged places with it. Her mouth fell open. You're impossible. He chuckled, voice low. And yet, you are still here. Wine huffed, throwing the blanket at him before storming to the bathroom. Behind her, Thames' soft laugh echoed through the room, the kind of laugh that made her pulse flutter. Days passed. Their hearts had grown quieter, their fight softer. They still bickered, still teased, but the space between anger and affection had started to blur. And yet, neither dared to speak the truth. It lingered, unspoken but alive. These past days, Wine began to notice something else. Things seemed restless, more easily frustrated, his jaw tight whenever his phone rang, his answers short. So one evening, when he walked in late, she stopped him at the door. Are you okay? She asked softly. He rubbed his temple. The rival company is stirring trouble again. Her heart clenched at the tiredness in his tone. She wanted to ask more, but his eyes warned her not to push. Today was unusually quiet. Wine sat curled in her favorite chair, reading a novel, her eyes occasionally flicking to the wall clock. Thea was supposed to have left for work long ago, then bang, the door burst open. Mrs. Kim's frantic voice filled the room. Thea, Wine's head snapped at her heart nearly stopped. Thea stumbled inside, his shirt half torn, blood staining his sleeve. Helen rushed behind, pale and panicked. Thea, for heaven's sake, what happened? Mrs. Kim cried. Mom, please, he said through gritted teeth. I just want to be alone. But I said leave. His voice thundered through the room. Mrs. Kim flinched, glaring daggers at him. Fine, bleed to death for all I care. Ellen, let's go. But before leaving, she turned to Wine. Look after him. Wine nodded mutely. Pulse racing as the door closed behind them. She turned back to Theon just as he unbuttoned his shirt halfway and slid the fabric off his shoulder. Theon, her voice broke. Oh my god. Blood oozed from a deep cut on his arm, the sight enough to make her heart lurch. Theon, why didn't you? He tried to brush it off, but she was already running to the cabinet, hands trembling as she grabbed the first aid kit. Within seconds, she was back, kneeling before him. Don't move, she said shakily, tearing a gauze open. You idiot, it's bleeding so much. What were you thinking? Who did this to you? Why didn't you? Wine. He hissed, flinching as the antiseptic touched his wound. Shut up, please. He stopped abruptly, realizing what he had just said. The air froze, Wine's hand stilled. Her eyes filled instantly, her lips pressed tight. I'm sorry, he whispered, guilt flooding his tone, but she was already standing, her hands trembling. You know what, Theon? Get your wounds cleaned yourself. Wine, you deserve worse than this, she shouted, tears glimmering. May God bless the hands that beat you up. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Theon stared at the door, dumbfounded. Then he sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. I guess I was too harsh. He muttered under his breath. I didn't mean it. He stared at the half-used gauze beside him, hating himself more than the pain in his arm. Minutes later, unable to sit still, he got up. Her name fell from his lips softly at first. Wine. He searched through the mansion until he reached the kitchen. There she was, furiously chopping vegetables, slamming bowls, her jet-tight tears still clinging to her lashes. He leaned against the door frame. You're going to murder that cow. She didn't look up. Wine. He called gently. Silence. He walked closer. Wine. She spun around sharply, holding the knife, and the tip pressed against his bare chest. He froze. Her eyes were red, her breathing shaky. Wine. He said softly, slowly, wrapping his fingers around her wrist. I'm sorry. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, but she didn't speak. I didn't mean it, he continued. His voice low and sincere. I was angry, I shouldn't have said that to you. He gently took the knife from her trembling hand and set it aside. Then with both hands, he held hers. I'm sorry, he whispered again. Really? She looked away, her voice shaky. If you're done to go dress your wounds, you're dripping blood everywhere. He smiled slightly. Only if you do it for me, she glared. No, do it yourself, Mr. Kim. He tilted his head. You sure? You let me bleed? Yes. To her shock, he slowly knelt down. His head bowed, his tone soft. I'm sorry, please. Her eyes widened. What are you doing? Apologizing properly, he said with a faint smile. I'm sorry for being a jerk. Please treat my wounds before I bleed out on your kitchen floor. Wine blinked, utterly dumbfounded. Then she cleared her throat, crossing her arms. You're dramatic. I'm in pain and you're bleeding me. It is looking up with pleading puppy eyes. She rolled her eyes, trying to hide her smile. Fine, get up, you idiot. Let's go before you faint. As she turned to walk, he couldn't resist leaning close and brushing his fingers over her cheek. Did you just call me, you idiot? He whispered teasingly. She went crimson. No, shut up. He chuckled under his breath, following her upstairs, his grin refusing to fade. In their room, Wine motioned him to sit on the bed. He obeyed, unbuttoning his shirt again. She instantly turned away. That's not necessary. Would you rather tear it off me yourself? He asked, voice dripping mischief. Her jaw dropped. Him, he laughed. The sound rich and deep. Relax, I was joking. Mostly. She sighed, muttering under her breath. You're impossible. Her fingers worked quickly, cleaning the wound, wrapping it with care. But Tim wasn't looking at his arm. His eyes were fixed on her, the way her brows furrowed in concentration. The soft tremble in her lips when she bit them in worry, the warmth of her hands against his skin. When she leaned closer, her hair brushed his shoulder and his heart lost rhythm. Slowly he reached up, tugging a loose strand behind her ear. She stilled, eyes flickering up to meet his. Wine, he murmured, voice husky. What? She asked softly. He traced his thumb gently over her lower lip, freeing it between her teeth. Don't bite this, he whispered, or I might want to. Her breath hitched. The word, he smiled. I haven't even done anything yet. She glared, but her cheeks burned. Don't make me throw this antiseptic on you, he laughed, the sound sending warmth through her chest. God, you are cute when you threaten me. She groaned, placing her palm on his mouth. Don't laugh. He only smiled beneath her hand, his arm circling her waist to pull her close. And stop doing things that make me want to, she gasped. Her hands pressed against his shoulders. Thank you. He leaned in, his voice low and gazing near her ear. Yes, Mrs. Kim. Her breath caught, but she quickly composed herself, pushing him lightly. You must have hit your head. Go lie down. He chuckled, lying back on the bed with a lazy smile. Maybe I did, right into you. She rolled her eyes, but her lips trembled to hide a smile. As she walked toward the door, she huffed. I'm still mad at you. Don't think I have forgiven you yet, he grinned. You look adorable when you are mad. I mean it, I won't talk to you. She snapped, turning red. Sure, he called after her, smirking. Let's see how long that lasts. Her indignant echoed through the hall as she ran out, and Tim fell back against the pillows. Hand over his heart, smiling like an idiot, because even with his wounds aching and shirt ruined, he had never felt warmer in his life. Few days later, days passed since that night, since Wine's tears, since Tim's guilty apology, since that closeness they both refused to name. The mansion had quieted, yet inside those walls silence screamed louder than words. Wine hadn't forgiven him, not yet, but she couldn't ignore him either. Every morning she would still check his temperature, every noon she would quietly bring him medicines, and every night she would make him dinner. No matter how angry she claimed to be, still she refused to talk beyond short answers. Still she refused to look at him for too long. But Theon noticed. Every glance, every sigh, every way her hands trembled when she bandaged his wounds. The first time she brought him food, he sat slumped on the bed, his arm in a sling, shirt collar loose. When wine entered with a tray, her face was stone, but her heart wasn't. I made soup, eat. She muttered flatly, setting the tray in front of him. Theon blinked up at her pitifully lips, curving downward like a scolded child. I can't eat, he said softly, voice too gentle, too innocent. Wine froze, then her brows shot up. What do you mean you can't eat? He sighed dramatically, leaning his cheek on his palm. My arm hurts, my heart too, apparently. He murmured, stealing a glance at her. Wine's lips parted in disbelief. Theon, I'm wounded. He interrupted softly. How do you expect me to lift the spoon when my wife won't even look at me? Wine's jaw tightened. Then stop. She snapped, spinning around. He flinched slightly, guilt flickering across his features. But before she could leave, he picked up the spoon with his uninjured hand and pretended to struggle pitifully. It's too heavy, he groaned dramatically. Wine exhaled harshly, glaring at him. Fine, you're impossible. She marched back, snatched the spoon, and knelt in front of him. Open your mouth. Theon grinned, victorious. Yes, ma'am. Shut up. But he didn't instead. Every time she fed him, he would lean a little too close. Once her fingers brushed his lips and she froze. His tongue darted out, intentionally brushing her fingertips. She gasped, yanking her hand back. Theon, he looked up innocently. What? You fed me. I was just appreciating your cooking by licking my finger. Well, he hummed, lips curving. It's not my fault. It is better than the soup. Wine nearly dropped the bowl on his head. Pervert. He only chuckled low and deep, the kind of laugh that made her heartbeat stumble. Now, a few days later, Wine entered the bedroom again, tray in hand, her irritation half real and half defense. She set the tray on the bed. Eat, it will get cold. Theon, reclining against the headboard, looked up with a small pout. I still can't eat, she frowned. You're lying. I'm not. He sighed, turning away like a sulking child. My appetite's gone. Maybe because my wife's mad at me. Wine crossed her arms. You should have thought of that before being annoying. He picked up voice softly with that pitiful tone again. I'm injured, ignored, unloved. How cruel. Before she could retort, the door opened. Mrs. Kim entered briskly. Arnold and Diana are on their way to see you, she said, eyes scanning the room. They immediately pointed at Wine like a tattletale. Mom, she's not feeding you. Mrs. Kim shot him a look. Maybe because you're acting like a child. Then she smiled at Wine. He'll eat if you feed him, dear. Theon grinned. Mrs. Kim ignored him and left. Wine sighed, picking up the bowl. Unbelievable, she muttered. Open your mouth. He grinned. You sound like you're scolding a toddler. Because you are one. But she still fed him spoon after spoon, each moment dragging painfully slow under his heated gaze. Every time she leaned in, his breath mingled with hers. Every time their fingers brushed, her stomach fluttered. Stop staring. She said quietly, I can't help it. He murmured, his lips curving. You look cute when you're pretending not to care. Her hand froze mid-air. Eat, she whispered. He smiled, chewing, eyes fixed on her face. Only if you feed me like this every day. Dream on, she muttered, but her lips twitched, betraying her. Theon noticed and his grin softened. He leaned forward slightly, murmuring, you're still mad. She swallowed weary. He smiled, his voice dropping low. Then why do you still take care of me? Her throat bobbed. Because you would die without me. Maybe I would rather die like this. He teased softly, brushing his thumb against her wrist. Her pulse jumped. She quickly withdrew her hand, cheeks warm. I'm still mad, she said sharply, standing up. I know, he murmured, yes, soft, but I'll take your anger if it means I still get to have you near. Her breath hissed. She turned before he could see the smile that threatened to bloom, muttering, hopeless. He chuckled behind her. Hopelessly yours. An hour later, Arnold and Diana arrived. Wine greeted them with a polite smile, her tone composed. Arnold's teasing drew laughter from her, a sound that filled the room like sunlight, but it made Theon's jaw clench. His hand curled into a fist under the blanket, and Wine's soft giggle beside Arnold only worsened the bone in his chest. When they finally left, Wine exhaled, turning toward the door, only to be suddenly pulled into Theon's chest. Theon, she gasped, her hands pressed against his firm chest. He held her tight, voice low, husky, dangerous. Don't smile like that at another man. She blinked, stunned. He's your cousin, I don't care. He muttered darkly, his nose brushing the curve of her neck. I can't stand it. Her breath hissed as his warm breath ghosted over her skin. Stop acting like we are in love, I hate you. He chuckled against her neck, doesn't matter. He whispered, his voice rich with quiet possession. Even your hate should belong to me. She stared at him, her heart stuttering painfully fast. As he tilted her chin up and pressed a soft kiss on her chin, not her lips, just close enough to make her dizzy. He smiled softly. Before she could respond, her phone rang. She shouted at him weakly, it might be important. He sighed and picked up the phone, handing it to her while still hovering over her. Go on then. She answered, and her mother's angry voice erupted through the receiver. Wine, Ivan lost his job. Do you know what you have done? Wine's face paled. Mom. Before she could finish, Theon snatched the phone. His voice turned cold. Even I don't tolerate men who hurt my wife. Wine gasped. He ended the call and closed the phone aside, but before he could speak, Wine's hand slapped lightly against his cheek. He froze, blinking in shock. Did he just hit me? Her eyes glistened with tears as she grabbed his collar. Why did you pull strings to fire him? Theon cleared his throat, guilt flickering briefly. I didn't. Don't lie. He sighed, looking away. He hurt you, I thought him a lesson. She pushed at his chest, anger and heartbreak blending in her voice. You can't control everything. Her lips trembled as she turned toward the door. I'm still mad at you, she said softly, voice cracking. Don't talk to me. He groaned, dragging his hand through his hair as she disappeared down the hall. God, why do I always mess up when it comes to her? He muttered under his breath, collapsing back on the bed, staring at the door she had left through. The door that seemed to take his heart with it. Few days later, the clock ticked softly in the corner of their shared bedroom. Wine had been sitting on her favorite chair for nearly 3 hours, a book covering her face, though she hadn't turned a single page. Her mind, as usual, was tangled in the same name, Theon. He had been relentless these past days, bringing her small gifts, sneaking her favorite flowers into the room, stealing every excuse to touch her hand or brush her hair behind her ear. When she would try to sleep on the couch, he would scoop her up in his arms, whispering against her temple, "You're my home wine, I can't sleep without you." She still pretended to be angry, but her heart had already started betraying her. Every smile, every gentle word, every look from him melted her resistance a little more. Now she heard the faint sound of shuffling, his familiar footsteps pacing near the door. She didn't move, not when the door creaked open, not when he whispered her name softly. "Why?" Tim's voice came low and teasing. "Are you hiding from me or reading the same line for the 100th time?" No response. A few quiet seconds passed, then the book was suddenly lifted from her face. She gasped slightly to see his warm, mischievous eyes looking down at her. "Caught you," he murmured, his smile soft and fond. Her cheeks flushed. "Don't you have something better to do than annoy me?" She muttered, turning her head toward the window. Tim chuckled that low velvet laugh that made her chest tighten. He leaned down, resting his chin on her shoulder from behind, his breath brushing her ear. "Nothing's better than annoying you, Mrs. Kim," he teased. "Then you have set your standards too low," she retorted, though her voice had lost its bite. He hummed, his arm sliding gently around her waist. "I missed you," he whispered near her ear, while swallowed hard but still staring stubbornly at the window. After a long silence, she finally spoke, her tone low but steady. "Don't pretend think you want to keep me caged in your affection, because you're scared I'll interfere in Diana's life. But don't worry, I don't have any interest in Arnold anymore. I finally know how to tell the difference between love and kindness." The words hung in the air like smoke. Tim froze for a moment, then leaned in, pressing a long, trembling kiss against the side of her neck. His voice came out husky, almost broken. "I'm not pretending anything, Wine," he murmured against her skin. "I tried not to fall for you." Her heart skipped painfully. His arms tightened around her waist as he continued softly. "But every time you look at me, I forget how to breathe. You don't deserve someone like me, but I can't stop loving you." She turned slightly, eyes wide, unable to speak. He took her trembling hand and lifted it to his lips, pressing slow kisses against each knuckle, each fingertip, as though worshipping her. "Let me love you," Wine, he whispered. "Please." Her breath hissed, a choked sound left her throat, half absorbed, half disbelief. "You're lying," she whispered brokenly. "You just want to break me, I hate you." Tim chuckled softly, brushing a thumb under her eye, then held me close. She stood abruptly, moving toward the bed, but stopped cold. The room had changed. Candles flickered softly, petals scattered across the sheets, a faint scent of vanilla and lavender in the air. She turned to him, eyes wide. He smiled gently, walking toward her. "You really thought I would stop trying to make you smile?" Tears sprayed her eyes. "Liar," she whispered, shaking her head. "You love Diana, I know you do." He frowned, stepping closer. "I never even liked her, Wine, let alone love her. You have been spreading misinformation about my heart." She smacked his arm weakly. "You are lying, I'm not." He caught her hand mid-air and pulled her close by the waist until she stumbled into his chest. His other hand lifted her cheek, his tongue firm, intense. "I only know one thing," he said quietly. "You are mine, the first and only girl who made my heart beat like this." Her lips parted in shock. He brushed his thumb over her mouth, freeing her lip from her teeth. "Tell me, Wine," he whispered, voice rough. "Tell me you don't want me." Her lashes lowered, silence thick between them. He smiled faintly. "I'll take that as a yes." Then his lips were on hers, soft at first, then deep, desperate. Her fingers curled into his shirt as their kiss grew urgent, breathless. They stumbled back, laughter mingling with gasps, until they landed against the bed, tangled in each other. When she finally pulled away, panting, she buried her face into his neck, her cheeks aflame. He wrapped his arms around her, whispering between soft kisses to her temple and hair, "Stay, don't run away from me anymore." Her answer was a shaky sigh. When she tried to stand, he caught her wrist and gently flipped her beneath him, his thumb brushing her lower lip. "Way to my love." He teased quietly. "Shut up, I still hate you." She mumbled, though her smile gave her away. He laughed and began peppering her face with quick, playful kisses, her forehead, nose, jaw, the corner of her lips, until she squealed and pushed at his chest, laughing helplessly. "Stop him." He grinned, hovering above her. "I don't believe it. You feel the same for me. I can see it." Her eyes softened and she smiled up at him, a shy, small, undeniable smile. He kissed her forehead gently, then rolled off her. One sat up, cheeks still pink. "Now get off me. I want to see what's in those bags." He raised her bags. "Are they more important than me?" "Obviously," she said smugly, standing with her hands on hips. He laughed and went to the bags, pulling out one by one a delicate bracelet, a silver ring, a dainty necklace. He placed each on her like a ceremony, bowing dramatically as if she were a queen. Wine giggled, tilting her chin high. "You may rise, servant." He stood laughing. "Your Majesty looks breathtaking." She blushed, then hugged him tightly. "Thank you," she murmured against his chest, "for everything, for helping me deal with Ivan and my family." He smiled, rubbing slow circles on her back. "An empty thank you isn't accepted." She looked up with a smirk, then take a complaint instead. He grinned, stealing a few quick kisses on her lips until she laughed again. When she caught her breath, she whispered, "Didn't you hate me once? Why did you even marry me?" He pressed his forehead to hers. "I don't know. Maybe I married you for fun. Maybe because I heard you saying you would separate Diana and Arnold. Maybe because something in me wanted to see what kind of woman could stand against me." She glared, clenching his chest. "Just for fun?" He winced playfully. "Oh, alright, maybe not just for fun." Her lips curved faintly. "I said that in anger because Diana knew what I felt about Arnold. Yet she hid her relationship from me." He exhaled, drawing her closer again. "Let bygones be bygones. She was never your real friend anyway." When I looked up, curious, "Did she tell you something about me?" He smiled softly, brushing her hair aside. "Doesn't matter what she said. What matters is that you're mine and I'm yours." She blushed and murmured teasingly, "But I still hate you." He pressed a long kiss to her cheek, whispering against her skin, "I love you too." One giggled, resting her head on his chest, their laughter mixed with warmth and quiet confessions. As Tim's fingers traced gentle patterns on her back, his voice soft and sincere, and though she still said she hated him, her heart whispered otherwise, beating wildly beneath his hand, perfectly incensed with his.